What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Rising Legend YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a Dear Days 2 deck profile of Luard. D-Series Luard. Now, I've actually been a long-time player, believe it or not. I've been playing this game for maybe over 10 years now, and Luard has been one of my most favorite units of all time. He's actually the reason that I decided to give my Vtuber dragon arms, as you can see on this one that you see right now. The other one is also a dragon arm, just different color. I actually can't play standard format Luard right now because my financial situation's not very good. I've been trying to find work that will take me, and unfortunately I've had no luck, and I've been turned down very frequently. So the dreams of playing Luard physically again for standard is still kind of on hold, but hopefully things turn around and I can build the deck physically again. I played Luard. I was a late starter with Luard. I didn't start playing Luard until after the V reboot started. And that was because when we got the V reboot, that was when I was finally working. Towards, when it came to G, I was pretty much on allowance only. I was still in high school, I believe. So I wasn't really able to properly afford stuff. But when we got to V, I finally had my own money. And so I was lucky because one of my community members for the locals I went to, they were selling their Luard deck, and I had always wanted to play Luard, just could never afford it because it was an expensive meta deck. And so he gave me a good deal for it, and I picked it up, and that's when I started playing Luard. But I've always wanted to play Luard, it's just I was never able to afford it. But now we're kind of back in that, so things kind of came full circle, ironically enough. But the whole reason that we're here is a standard Luard deck profile, and we're gonna take it into a game or two. So I've been doing a lot of testing with this. I am a competent Luard player. Again, I've been playing Luard since V reboot, essentially. But I do believe that I've played Luard online on Cardfight area, since I couldn't afford to build it physically back in Jira. So here's what we're rolling with. So of course we have our typical ride line for Luard. Knees gives us our crest. Leofall is a additional, literally every single card in the ride line draws us a card, and so Luard is a very, very consistent hand building deck. And Leofall can also be used to call itself out later from drop zone, which we will eventually end up doing that, I'm sure, to set up for our Drag Strider turn. I wish they put the frickin' card art for the original Luard on Dear Days 2, but unfortunately they haven't. But in case you don't know what Luard does, it is focused on the ritual mechanic, which is mechanic focused on having grade 1s in your drop zone. Consistently, usually it's Ritual 3, except for Drag Strider Luard, which is one of your G units, that is Ritual 7. And the deck is very toolbox focused. His Luard's Ritual lets you take any normal units from your drop zone and put them to the bottom of your deck and stride for no cost. And then his stride skill, when your G unit's placed, you counterblast 1, retire one of your rear guards, and you call 2 grade 1 or less units from your deck to rear guard, and then shuffle a deck, of course. So that's why you want to do your Ritual to, return normal units. Sometimes you might run out of targets for your stride skill. This ensures that you will always have some targets for the stride skill. We're only running 3 copies of Luard. I feel like 4 is a little too bricky. But realistically, you only need 2 copies in the main deck. You're always going to be able to fetch them with your Abyssal Owl. You can discard Abyssal Owl from your hand with its skill to search for a Dragheart Luard from your deck. And, you know, with Luard's Ritual, you can just keep on returning your Dragheart Luards to the deck, and then you just use your Abyssal Owl to fetch it back. And so you'll be getting your part of your cost for your Drag Strider Luards, and you'll be able to consistently kind of control what's in the deck, which is very nice. I'm running one copy only of the Solemn Clout Dragon. It's very good. I like this card, but I also don't want to brick on it. If you see it, great. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Its ritual makes it a 23k beat 6, so it gets an additional 10,000 power on rearguard. And if it's discarded for the cost of Stride, you get to draw a card. You're not always going to be able to do it, of course, seeing only running one copy of it, but that's completely fine. You know, again, you can just recycle this with your ritual from Luard, and it's completely fine. You'll typically end up calling it to rearguard off like your drag driver turns for multi-attack to have a bigger beat stick, which is usually really good. I'm only running 3 copies of Morfessa. 4 seems a bit much. I've been finding pretty consistent. I've been finding it pretty consistent just running 3. Again, if I need them, I can recycle them in Luard. Simple as that. So it also counts as a grade 1 in the drop zone, which is really nice. Another card to help count towards Ritual. And it also enables multi-attack along with our Drag Driver. So when Morfessa attacks Ritual 3, it gets 5,000 power. And if your G-Zone has 2 or more face-up cards in it, you can counterblast 1 and search your deck for up to 1 card with the Ritual ability and a different name from this card to be very specific, and call it to rearguard and then shuffle a deck. If you could just loop span Morfessa, it would be broken. We can sort of do it to an extent, but that's only if we attack with a Morfessa that's already on board, call something out, attack a Drag Driver, call out another Morfessa, and then, you know, do it again. 2 copies of Maple. Maple is very synergistic with Striding, because when it's in drop zone, if your Great Theory or Greater Vanguard is placed during the ride phase, and apparently Striding is also technically during the ride phase, so that triggers Maple, giving us a valid rearguard to retire off our Luard Stride skill. Maple is a very good discard fodder for riding up in the early game, because of that reason. Running 4 Biscotti, you're only really using it as discard fodder for your riding, but you can also use it for when you place it in Guardian Circle. We don't really have that many cards that use our energy in this deck, so being able to use that energy on Biscotti to, you know, kind of filter through the deck and draw into our pieces is very, very good. And then we have a little undercover package, which is very good. I considered putting this to 4 and Morfessa at 2, but I find that 4 is a little bit too much. I've been finding the 3-3 split to be very good. I've been liking it at that ratio. So this card is also very useful. It is a searcher for the deck, which the deck doesn't really have many things that search to hand other than Abyssal Owl. So when this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Undercover in name, or it's a Shadow Paladin Clan unit only, you can counterblast 1 and check top 5 of your deck. Either add an Undercover card from among them, or a Shadow Paladin card from among them to your hand, and then shuffle the deck. This is so good, because this is the only card that I'm aware of that can search for your perfect guards. Because Ezros is a Shadow Paladin Clan Perfect Guard. So you can actually add your Shadow Paladin Perfect Guards to your hand from this card's skill. It is very, very good for that reason. And then, of course, you know, going down the line. Oh, yeah. And also, it has an attack skill that if you're, when it attacks a Great or Greater unit, keep that in mind, so you can attack a rear guard and get this skill. If you have an Undercover Vanguard or a Shadow Paladin Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, it gets 10k. realistically, we're not using the soul for that much. At most, usually it's just Painkiller. And so we kind of have freedom to use this card's skill. Leofall is also another card that uses soul. But that's only maybe like, if we use one Painkiller Leofall once, that's 2 soul. We usually have the soul to spare for this if we want to. Perfect cards, of course. For Ezra, straight up, not running anything else. It is a searchable perfect guard. We want to run it at 4. We can put it back to deck with our Luard's Ritual if we want perfect guards back in our deck to get later. If we have to. It's great. For Abyssal Owl, it is our countercharger. You need 2 copies in your drop zone for its effect to countercharge. Because it's Ritual 3 from drop, bind itself and another copy of it to countercharge 1 at the end of the turn. The deck is very counterblast reliant, so we want to maximize our countercharge ability if we can. And it is also, again, a card that lets us search for our Dragheart Luards, and so it makes it a very easy card to put in the drop zone to count towards Ritual. 4 copies of Semios. This card is amazing. I really like this card. 4 of, no questions asked. Continuous on Rearguard Ritual 3. If you have a Luard Crest, it gets 2,000 power. It's always consistently a 10,000 power body, which is great. And then when it's placed on GB1, other than during the battle phase, if you have a Luard Vanguard, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 of the 2 cards among them to call to Rearguard, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. If you called a card at the end of the turn, retire the unit called by this effect. So what's really cool is that you're typically going to either replace or retire the unit called off this unit anyway in most cases. So it retiring at the end of the turn does not hinder you whatsoever. So for example, say you call something off of this card and then you call over that unit with Drag Driver. That unit was already retired, so you're not retiring anything at the end of the turn. Very, very good card. I'm teching in 1 copy of Luminosity Wizard right now. I feel like any more than 1 is just too much, honestly. You really don't need this card all the time. I run this because sometimes I'll like to get it off my Drag Strider turns. Because I can make it a, it can either be boosting Drag Strider Luard as like an 18,000 power booster, or I'll just retire it off the Drag Strider and get the 5k additional power on my Drag Strider Luard. If I happen to need soul, I can get the soul off this, but I typically don't really use it for the soul. But it's an option if need be. It is a nice option to have access to at the very least. 2 copies of Painkiller, because Saragon is choice restricted with Dragheart Luard, so we have to run the next best thing, which is Painkiller. Which isn't really that big a deal, to be honest. We don't really need it all the time. 2 copies is enough. If we want to call it to draw some cards, we can, but that's not always the option that we need. But it's there if we do need it. Still a good card to have. Early game, if we're on our grade 2 turn, we'll use it to Soul Blast out our grade 1. And it'll help us build a ritual count quite easily. Still good. We got 1 copy of Parius, which is a perfect guard on the rear guard if your opponent likes to do multi-attacks. So, really only need 1. There's actually some matchups that, honestly, it just doesn't come up. Like, there are some decks that you just will face that this card will just never come up against. So, its official skill is that when your Vanguard is attacked, if it's a 5th battle of this turn or more, you can bind this unit from your rear guard, shoots on your units, and it cannot be hit until the end of the turn, until the end of that battle. So, it's essentially a perfect guard, but it has to be used on a deck that has 5 or more attacks. Which there are some decks that are not able to hit that threshold, hence why it is a very situational card, hence why I only put it at 1 copy. And then our last unit of the deck is Another undercover unit, the Claw of Secret Schemes Undercover Tigress. This is a undercover searchable target for our grade 2. And if we call it off of anything, from skills and such, if we somehow call it off a Semius, it's another way we can kind of bypass the retire. We can always call this as a booster, and then at the end of the battle it boosted, use 2 energy to return it to our hand, therefore bypassing Semius's retire cost after calling it off this card's skill. And it's also a 10,000 power shield that we can recycle, which is very nice. So, for example, if we search it off of our grade 2 undercover card, and then we retire or intercept or something with our grade 2, then we immediately already have something in drop zone to make this a 10,000 power shield. It is a very, very diverse and helpful card. And the fact that it's searchable makes it even better. Triggers, I'm running 8 crit, 3 front, 1 OT. I'm running the blue OT for now. I think it's fine. You can run red OT. It might actually be better to run red OT. I'm just not entirely sure which one I really want the most right now. I typically just like the blue OT a little more because it's essentially a 9th crit in the deck. And if you flip it offensively, you get any card back from your drop zone. And since we're running only normal unit perfect guards, we're always going to be able to get perfect guards back to our hand. If we wanted to get a little cheeky, we could always call off a perfect guard from our stride skill, retire it, put it in the drop zone, make sure our deck is thin enough to hit OT, and then flip OT. You gotta be like at a really late point in the game in order for that to happen, though. But if it does happen, it would be funny. And then 4 heals, of course. And then I'm running the Radiance Caliburn as my Regalis piece of the deck. The deck counterblasts a lot. And Abyssal Owl is the only way to countercharge other than this card. So having an additional countercharge option really does help with the consistency of the deck. And if we don't have to use it for the countercharging, we could always just use it to dig for more pieces. It lets you draw 2 cards as an alternate effect, which is very nice. The option is just really good to have. If you don't want to run this, you don't have to. Twin Cast is another very good one, or you can run Angel Ladder if you want protection. Anything really works. I'm not really worried about running Angel Ladder because we have Maple, so when we stride, we return normal units that we want to call back to deck, and then we get to call Maple from drop zone, retire the Maple, and then call the units we just put back to deck. So rebuilding our board is not really a difficult task for this deck at all. And therefore, I just do not think that Angel Ladder is really necessary in this deck. The countercharge option or the ability to dig for more pieces just feels a little bit more important. But that is it for the deck list portion. Let us go ahead and get into some games, shall we? Maybe about 1 or 2. We'll find out. Alright, we're going to start by fighting off against Rezile, because Rezile is a very relevant deck in the game right now. Very, very strong deck. That works. So, we want to go second with this deck, and honestly, my hand is very good. Like, I have no issues with this hand at all whatsoever. Let's see. Alright. So first and foremost, we have good discard fodder, which is Maple. And we're gonna draw 50 bajillion cards. We draw so many cards with this deck, it's ridiculous. if we discarded Biscotti, we would have drawn 3 cards and then have a drive check on top of it. That would just be insane. And now we can add to our ritual count with Abyssal Owl early. Deck thinning is deck winning, as they say. Now, I'm actually not going to call anything else down at all. I'm going to wait till next turn. Next turn I can call it the Undercover Grade 2, and we can start searching for other pieces. So, for right now, we're fine to just start attacking from here. There's our other Luard, which, not that big a deal. I have a feeling this is going to be a quick fight. There's no way he's going to have any chances. Like, really, this hand is fantastic right now. That's one big reason why the deck's relevant, because it's one of the few decks that can use Saragon and abuse the heck out of it. You got a crit on me, I would have been very sad. Not exactly what I had in mind, but okay. I don't think I'm really gonna use anything, really. I could garbage Semius if I really want, but that card's just so freaking broken. They're gonna be swinging for a pretty solid number, 21 to my 18 though, so I could 5k guard this. I do think he's gonna be very aggressive next turn. I think I only really need one of the Undercover Grade 2, so I think I'm pretty fine with guarding with one of these. I can always get it back later if I want. It's not that big a deal. I only really call down like 1 on my Grade 2 turns usually anyway. You know, it's suggestive that I could have taken the damage, called out 2, double search, but they're gonna get very aggressive on their next turn. Once he goes into Resile, he's gonna pop off. I think I might just discard the Luard, actually. And then I could put it back later. It's not really that big a deal. Okay, so. I could also just use the Abyssal Owl right now and just get it from drop zone to hand. But I'd rather wait until after I put it to deck so I can thin it right back out of the deck. It's more effective that way. So we're going to go ahead and call Painkiller behind the Vanguard. We're going to be able to get Painkiller to draw a card, and we're going to get our grade 1 out of Soul to add towards our ritual count. And then we'll go ahead and call down our Undercover Grade 2. We want to do a little bit of damage, but we don't want to go too nuts. We can get a Morfessa, I guess. Morfessa's probably fine. Okay. If I really want, I could just outright aggro, but, do I want to? Haul down maybe the beast, use its energy to blast, return it to hand. I don't really have that good column numbers this early, so if he hits a defensive, it could be a little difficult, so I'm going to go ahead and just play it out like this. I know I have front triggers, but I don't really want to take my chances. Why every time this game I've set a trigger name, it flips the second after I say it? Alright, we're gonna have to hit Rearguard. I believe Painkiller works still. Okay. So I'll just swing at his Rearguard, which is completely fine. giving Rezile only 2 damage to work with when they're about to go into Rezile is actually pretty good. They're not going to be able to call it a grade 1 and a grade 2. They might have to call it grade 0 and a grade 1. So leaving him at 2 damage is probably fine, honestly. So it will actually slow down their offense for the next turn. And now I suddenly have 2 perfect guards in my hand. That is insane. So they got pretty good build-up going on right now. They're going to call it Saragon from the drop, I'm sure. Okay, maybe I'm not so sure. I really thought they were going to call Saragon. Okay, there it is anyway. Okay. Whatever works for you, buddy. Ooh, you're just gonna regular swing. I'm thinking that I'm just gonna intercept this and take the rest. Because again, I have Maple and Drop Zone anyway, so it's completely fine. We'll be able to rebuild a really strong board on our next turn. Rezile's gonna do its thing. He's gonna get 4 attacks. It's gonna be very weak, but it's still 4 attacks. So I'll take the Rezile. Honestly, I'll probably just take all of these attacks. This is fine. Do I let them put me to 4? There is an off chance that off our 2 Simius I'm going to call on the next turn that we could see the Undercover grade 2, and that's another potential card. I am going to take the 3rd damage. This is fine. Alright. So let's see. From our hand, it might actually be okay to discard a crit, because I do remember, but we can recur crits in this deck. Luard. Okay. Maple's gonna do her thing. She's gonna hit the board. And then Leopold's gonna draw us another card. We're gonna Soul Blast him out. We do want him in the drop zone potentially for later. And now we're gonna go ahead and get into our Drag Driver. You don't have any other grade 3s, so we're discarding Luard. Okay, Luard skill. Counterblasting the grade 1 specifically. Let's retire the Maple. And now we start building a board. Let's see. We do have both Semius in deck still, the last 2. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to no-brainer call them, and we're going to start to make a formation to deal with them. Alright, let's see what we hit off of them, though. That's probably fine. It could become a nice solid 18k, which is really good. Now, what do we hit off the other one, though? If we get the grade 2, the other grade 2... Oh, it's a Biscotti. That does happen every once in a while. We are going to be getting 5 attacks. Not 5. We're going to be getting 4 attacks. My bad. We are not using Leofall's skill. It's way too early for that. I could probably Energy Blast to draw a card. Not really using my energy right now, and I already got up to grade 3, so Biscotti's less useful. Oh my perfect guard heaven! Good lord. Alright, I'll call out the Morfessa. So we're hitting over 25k plus for our rear guard attacks, which is really good. So for starters, I'm actually gonna swing with Biscotti unboosted to get rid of Nildaris. Since he didn't get to use its skill last turn, that is going to deny him a card. Now we'll go straight with the Drag Driver. Use skill Drag Driver. Flip a Drag Strider, because we only really go into it like once per game ideally. Sometimes 2 if we get unlucky. Alright, we will call out the Morfessa, because that's another intercept if need be. Since we can't use the skill for Morfessa's Counterblast this turn, we're fine just using it for the power. Oh, hi, that's the card I was looking for. Can I get something? That'll do. Alright, crit Vanguard. We'll give power to that Morfessa, because the other one has a pretty good number already. Hey, I'd rather you have it be early damage than late damage. Okay, Akina, you need to chill. I know you're the fated one of miracles, but good lord, brother, chill. Okay. We might be able to end the game next turn, potentially, with Drag Strider, depending on what's in his hand. He's at 5 now. Okay. Okay, we don't get to use the press skill, I guess. We only lose one of the rear guards that we got. Since we replaced one of the ones that we had gotten off of Semius because so we could multi-attack. Do I want a soul charge? No, I do not. Can I keep that 5k, please? I wish. So he is going to be at full power Razile, but we have 3 perfect guards in our hand. I think we're fine. Hey, that's 4 cards that you just committed to the board to try to attack me. I'm fine with this. Here's where this grade 1 is really nice. We do have our grade 2 in drop zone, so we get the extra 5k shield. That's all we need. Okay, he's gonna be doing that again. I guess putting a Morfessa back to deck's probably fine. You only need 10k, so I'm gonna be guarding with Maple for sure, and then Morfessa will intercept. He's gonna probably have a decent sized hand after this. So is he gonna call out a Rezile and a grade 2, or does he have Gigantech on the drop? I didn't even bother to look. That is mediocre. He has Saragons in the drop zone, and he's choosing not to use them. That is a mistake in its own right. Okay. So we are 100% using a perfect guard. I guess I'll discard the Semius and I'll just put it to deck later. That's not what I meant to do. Muddle Fudger. Well, that happened, so I guess I'm discarding the Undercover for the perfect guard. Ay. I jumped the gun. It's fine, guys. I kind of just woke up not long ago. I thought I was clicking to discard for the PG. I forgot to click enter first. Okay, Akina, chill. Wait. Man, this freaking AI is so stupid. Any smart player would have put the other trigger on the other rear guard. Good lord, Akina AI. That was just really bad common sense. Like, really? How do you mess that up? Well, it's a big number, so I'm gonna not use 50 bajillion cards to stop that. Okay, that time I didn't mess up at least. Right side, I have more cards for Ritual. Can I try to force him... Alright, let's check our Ritual count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, 9. I have 9. Okay. I'm going to put back the Semius, the one I accidentally guarded with. And I think I'll put that back too. I'll just use Abyssal Owl to get the Luard from drop zone this time, because I want those two from the drop zone so I can try to get something going here. I don't know if I can win this turn, but I'm sure as heck going to try. You know what? For content, I'm calling final turn. Even though I'm unsure, I'm just gonna do it for content. Alright. Drag Strider, here we go. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to... I guess I'll do the Maple first. Okay. Luard Stride skill. Fire the Maple. Now I'm thinking I might call the one of the other grade one we put back to deck, the one of, and go 18k booster. But at the same time, I'd get the same results if I have Semius behind the Vanguard, I'm pretty sure. So I think for the sake of making my rearguard columns better, I think putting the grade 1 behind a rearguard is probably more effective. So I will choose to call these two. I'm going to simply just replace the Semius that's behind my Vanguard, and then I'm going to make my Morfessa column more threatening. I think that's the play I want to go with. And then we'll see what we can hit off the Semius. If we don't hit anything, worst case scenario, I discard a card and get Leophile to rearguard. Or actually... You know what? Let me play it safe. I will just call the Semius to the front row, and if I get like a Morfess, I'll just call over it with it. That's probably the safer play. Okay, so now let's see what the Semius hits. If I hit a Morfessa or something, that would be really good. That is a good hit. That is a very good hit. And we do have our 5. Let me just make sure I'm reading this right. Oh, I'm trying to read what Luard does. We'll just have to do it. Let's see. Okay, let's use that skill. We don't need any more counterblasts anyway, so this is completely fine. And what's good is that still hits a really good number. It's going to gain additional... Hi, Morfessa! I was trying to get to you! Let's see. I guess I'll just take the Morfessa. I don't know why I can't take the grade 3. I'm pretty sure it's a Shadow Paladin, but whatever. Alright, the rest of these... I'm just going to double check Drag Strider. If it'll let me. Okay, if you have 5 or more units with the Ritual ability, to end the battle, it gets 10k to crit, retire 2 rearguards, discard a grade 3 with Luard. Okay. So, that counts itself. So I do not need to call over that grade 2 we just got. What am I doing right now? Did my game crash? Oh no, I have skills on standby. Okay. We are not going to use any of their skills. Okay, so now we will use the Abyssal Owl to get our Luard from drop zone. So now we have the stage set. And with him at 5 damage, he's gonna have to throw those cards down. I don't have any counterblast. I didn't leave any for Morfessa. That might have been a misplay, but that's completely fine. I'm really not too worried about it. Making him drop OT to guard is huge. That is huge. Alright, now we get the whole skill proc. No perfect guards, which is great. Okay, we're gonna retire the Morfessa, and we're gonna retire that one. And then we discard the Luard. And then we're gonna get the proc from that. We're gonna get an extra 5,000 power. I'm not gonna soul charge. Let's see. 1 to pass? Oh, we called it right. Yeah, GG Akina, it's over. How many cards does he have left? 5! Oh, this isn't even a final turn. This is just plain slaughter. Oh my goodness. Whoa, whoa, chill, chill! Oh my goodness! This is just plain slaughter! If I flip OT on top of this... My gosh. Oh my god! Okay, I didn't mean to be that mean, Akina. I'm so sorry! Over 10,000! It's over 9,000! Good lord! 5 crit? 10,000? Whoa! Wait, no, that's 103,000! It's over 9,000. It's way over 9,000. Oh my god! That was just plain slaughter! Holy crap! I am so sorry, Akina. That was just incredibly rude. Well, so that's Luard. I didn't think I was gonna just outright every single check hit a trigger on Luard. Good lord, even with that minor misplay of using the CB that could have been used for multi-attack, it didn't even matter. Oh my gosh. So that's the deck. I thought I was gonna do another game, but I realized that one was like 30 minutes almost. We'll be doing other decks in the near future. I might actually cover Raziel soon. Raziel, Youthberg. I'm a big Keter player. I know my first two were Blangdemeyer and Varga, but I'm actually more of a Keter player. But I do like some Dragon Empire decks. I probably won't cover Bob Sargra. If I'm being completely honest, Bob Sargra, prior to her new support that Japan has right now, is not very good. So it'd be better to wait to cover the deck. Maybe I'll do an IRL deck profile for Bob Sargra when I get the stuff. I do have it on the way. I do have it on the way for sure. I did do a pre-order for it. I was able to get them in time. Bob Sargra was my first standard deck. She got priority over Luard. So yeah. That's why I don't have Luard, but I have Bob Sargra's new stuff on the way. So that's going to be the deck profiling and showcase. I love the deck. I always have loved the deck. Every iteration of the deck I've loved. I've played it in G, I've played it in Standard, in V, and I'm playing it here on Dear Days 2 for Standard. Hopefully I get to build the deck in physical form soon. It'll probably be this exact same list if I'm being completely honest with you. I find this list to be working absolutely wonderfully. But, yeah, if you guys want to see more deck stuff, do let me know in the comments below. Do subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more Vanguard content and or voice acting content. Maybe some Pokemon at some point, I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do with my life as a content creator. But all I know is that I still love Vanguard. I still want to cover Vanguard. People may not take my word for things because I haven't really competed in big tournaments. I never really had the ability to get out that much to be able to go to these in-person events. It takes a lot of money and planning that I just was not able to do. The only time I've ever been able to compete was Springfest, I think 2 or 3 years ago in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I got top 8 with Bob Sargra, and day 2 was V, and I was completely undefeated playing Thingsaver. So I do have competitive experience with Vanguard. I have competed, but not very many big events. But I would like to change that in the near future. If I finally get somebody who will hire me, and I finally get working again, and I have a stable income, I'm going to build the few decks I want to build, and then I will look into trying to travel and compete in big events. I would love for a chance to go to Worlds. I think I could do good in Worlds, but I just don't have the chance to do it yet. But I do love the game. I do love Luard, and I want to do more with the game. I really do. So if you guys want to support this journey of me trying to go places with Vanguard, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below if there's anything you guys want to say. I really don't know what to tell you to comment about. I can't really say tell me what decks you guys want to see next. But if I'm being completely honest, I already have a plan of some decks I want to do. I don't play all the decks in the game. I play ones that I genuinely enjoy. And it just so happens I really like Header Sanctuary decks for the most part. A couple Dragon Empire decks, you know, Varga and Bob Sargra. That's really it, though. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.